Welcome back to the Vanessa G Fitcast. I'm Vanessa Pozos, and today we have a very special guest. I have on Annie Kundis with us today, and I am so excited to have Annie on here. Annie, so this is your first time coming on the Vanessa G Fitcast, and I feel like this may not even be the last time because you have been on a journey. So, for everybody, Annie is a client of ours here at Vital Spark Coaching, and she came to us with a history of really truly doing everything you would think is right. I mean, for years and years, this girl has a history of bodybuilding, of powerlifting, tracking macros for years, eating clean, doing all the things, and yet her body was still inflamed, tired, just stuck, all kinds of different symptoms. So she came to Vital Spark as kind of a little bit of a last ditch effort here, and really we've been able to get just under the surface, really see what's going on in her Dutch test and her GI map and start to get her feeling better. So I'm really, really excited, Annie, for you to share more of that story, share more of, what you were facing before you came to us, where you are now, what we've been working on together, and be able to be a little bit of my hope is to be an example, an inspiration for a lot of the women who are listening that I know are struggling with exactly where you were just a few months ago, even. So, Annie, welcome to the Vanessa G Fitcast.
Thank you so much, Vanessa. I'm super excited to be here and talk about this.
And
It's
I
very near and dear to my heart.
I have been looking forward to this conversation too, because everybody should know, Annie has a hilarious Instagram and TikTok, and she really entertains me alone with her content. So I'm like, if nothing else, I got to get Annie on the podcast because I'm not that funny, and we need some more
Oh
entertainment on
gosh.
this podcast. Uh, but we don't have to dive into no pressure there. I just Annie, I would love for you. Let's start with when you first came to us, when you first reached out. So you had inquired about coaching, and one thing you had said when we first started messaging back and forth is you said, I'm tired of being told to eat less and move more. So I
Ugh.
know you were doing everything right. Tell me about that. What did that look like for you then? What were you doing? What were you struggling with? What had you tried at this point?
When I came to you guys, I had been in the gym for well over 12 years. I had done bodybuilding before kids, and then after kids, it just wasn't the right fit for my journey. And so then I moved into powerlifting, which I really, really loved. I competed for multiple years. Um, and I have been tracking macros. At this point, I feel like my entire adult life, eating clean as much as I can. I'm not crazy anymore. I was in bodybuilding days. That was real crazy. But now, I'm a mom, so I have to, watch what I'm doing, but still keeping it clean. And I felt like I was doing absolutely everything right. I'm tracking macros. I'm in the gym, 5 days a week. I am walking. I wasn't drinking water as much as I do now, but I was definitely trying, and my body just kind of started to I guess stop is the only word I can think of. It just stopped responding to everything. I was literally tired all the time, like barely getting myself out of bed,
Mm.
type tired, which is really hard when you have two little kids.
Yeah.
I have to get out of bed. I don't have another choice, And so, and my bowels had completely shut down.
Mm.
Not just like, oh, you go to, like, I can go 14 days
Mm.
and it's wildly painful. My stomach was huge, like it hurt. And my husband and I were at the point that we were going to take me to Mayo Clinic to try and get it figured out because there had to be like a reason, right? But every doctor I had seen, I'd had colonoscopies, I'd had endoscopies, all these things. They're like, no, like everything looks normal. I'm like, okay, well, this is not normal. Normal people go to the bathroom. It's like the way our body works. I don't know. Um, and then they, of course, the normal thing that every doctor says, well, you're a woman.
Mhm.
Thank you. Knew that. You need to exercise more and eat less. And I'm like, well, if I eat less, I'm going to be throwing myself into anorexia. And that's a whole nother can of worms I don't want to open. And if I exercise more, like I'll just be in the gym all the time. It just, that was not the answer. And I knew it because I was already eating healthy. And so then I found your page and I saw that you had kind of gone through similar things, which was amazing to see. You were heavier and then you had lost all the weight, you felt really good, and then it just slowly started coming back on. And I was like, okay, I see someone else has gone through this. I don't want to go to where I've gained all that weight back. So I need help with that. And then I saw your videos about like the Dutch testing the GI map and was like, maybe we check that before we fly ourselves to Mayo for a week and have a bunch of invasive tests done.
Absolutely. And I'm so honestly proud of you looking back that you were able to continue to advocate for yourself during all those times because man, I know a lot of women who listen to this are going to be relating to your story, but I relate to your story. I, like you mentioned, had gone down a similar route. I was never quite as crazy as to go bodybuilding because I find that to be a little bit of crazy. But I, had done some like more of competitive, like CrossFit type of things and just was really into health and fitness and what people would think is so healthy. And yet my body felt like it was shutting down. I had previously had a weight loss transformation and suddenly now my body was just completely felt like it was betraying me, just could not stop the weight gain. And I know you
Yep.
talked about that quite a bit yourself of like, as much as you were training, as hard as you were working, as much as you were, on it with your diet, it's like, how is it that you're gaining weight? How is it that you're looking more and more puffy and just feeling worse all the time?
Yeah, it was really crazy to me to just see that type of transformation when textbook, right? I'm doing every single thing correct. I'm hitting protein, I'm hitting carbs, I'm eating fats, I'm limiting when I go out to eat. And when I do go out to eat, I'm picking whole food. Like I'm doing all the things I'm supposed to do.
Hmm.
And yet the weight is still coming on. And it's not even so much about the weight, but it's the way that I felt.
Hmm.
Like my stomach, I always joked, I straight up looked 6 to 7 months pregnant when I would get that gas. I couldn't walk because it was so painful. And that's just not normal, and there's no amount of diet or exercise or anything else that can fix that. Um, and so I knew that just something had to be different, and they had given me meds, of course, because that's what doctors do, right? They throw meds at you, and it didn't work even a little bit.
Yeah.
And so I was like, "Okay, so the meds aren't working, nothing's working. What do I do? Because I cannot." I mean, at the time I found you guys, I was 34. Like, I cannot continue living life like this. I'm young. My kids are little. I can't continue like feeling like I'm crawling out of bed every day and not being a good mom. I can't play with them. I'm grumpy all the time, which is not their fault, but I'm tired. My hormones are super jacked up. And so it was nice just to hear someone else say, hey, maybe it's like not a medication you need. Maybe it's like an entire lifestyle switch, but not just eating healthy and exercising more. It's so much deeper and way more complex than that. And I had no idea that was even a thing.
Absolutely. I think it was probably a very eye-opening experience, even for somebody like you who had tried so many things, was really
Mhm.
knowledgeable coming in. Let's I want to come back to what you had mentioned earlier. So you
Mhm.
had been to basically every single doctor. You were about to go to the Mayo
Yes.
Clinic. Like you had tried truly everything at this point. And of course, you're married to a doctor as well, so you've
Mhm.
had that kind of front row seat to the conventional medical world. Um, can you tell us a little bit more of like what was that season like of going to doctors and putting your trust into doctors, yet continuing to find yourself at this place of no answers, and here you are, a mom, you're married to a doctor, and you're like, is this it? Is there no answer? Am I just going to be stuck this way? Like, what was going through your mind during this period of time? Were you about to give up on yourself? Were you like, no, I'm going to figure this out?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, depression's a real thing. We got very depressed. It was not good. Um, and it was just really, really difficult to be seeking those types of answers and genuinely wanting that. I mean, I was willing to try absolutely everything, any medication, anything that they were recommending, and none of it worked. And so I felt very, very hopeless. Like, okay, what is wrong with my body? Obviously, there's many things. I've had 21 surgeries. I'm just kind of a basket case in here, but I was doing everything you're supposed to do to make those things right and nothing was working. And I eventually just like broke down to my husband. I was like, I cannot continue to live my life this way because, I see other moms my age, they're fit, they're healthy, everything's going well, and they seem totally fine. They're not, they're not living in a calorie deficit all of the time just to feel good in their clothes. They're just living their lives. And I'm like, hey, there has to be a way that I can also do that, but I didn't know how. And it feels very hopeless is like the only word I can think of.
Mm.
It feels really hopeless to just feel like you are completely stuck no matter what you do. And like even my hair was falling out. Like all of those symptoms were just, and it's just hard. It's hard to watch your body just totally betray you, like you said. Um, And so, yeah, I felt very hopeless and very alone. And like, no matter what I told doctors, they didn't get it.
Yeah.
And I had been, I'd done blood tests for other things, but of course, those blood tests test for one time of the day. And so, by their standards, I was fine, totally fine, nothing wrong. Like, you look really healthy. I'm like, okay, but I literally feel like I'm dying.
Mm.
So I can't possibly be fine. And so I felt like I had to make a more drastic change, which is why we were going to go to Mayo Clinic, because I felt like the doctors in our town just didn't have that knowledge. But
Mhm.
now I know even going to Mayo wouldn't have fixed this.
Yeah.
They would have had to do those types of tests.
Yeah. And so, diving into your GI map, your Dutch test, finally getting you some answers. And so for those who are not familiar, GI map, this is a gut health test where Annie basically pooped in a box and shipped it out, and we were able to see what was going on in her GI tract and all kinds of things from parasites, candida, bacterial overgrowth, like a lot there explaining why you're feeling the way you're feeling. Like there was an answer, there was an understanding of what is going on there. And then from the Dutch test as well, lots of things out of whack. I mean, a cortisol rhythm completely flipped. And again, for those who are maybe newer here, not familiar, so a Dutch test is a dried urine test. So this is a test, again, that we're doing at home, way better than checking your hormones via blood because we can also see how our hormones actually filtering through the body via urine. So getting so much good information on Annie. We're able to really dig in, bring our team here and see exactly what was going on in your body. But I want to hear, what was that experience like for you? Were there any aha moments? Did it feel like things were being validated, or what was that like when we reviewed your GI map and Dutch test for you?
To be honest, I've never felt more validated in my entire life and less crazy than I did reading those results. I had to, obviously, you guys had to read them for me because I don't know all
Basically
that
another
stuff. But
language.
reading them, yeah, it's a totally different language, which medical stuff always is. But yeah, reading it, I was like, okay, there actually is something wrong with me. I'm not, and not something wrong with me sounds bad, but there is something wrong. There's something wrong inside my body. And it's not just me thinking that or feeling that way. Like there was concrete proof finally of like, oh my gosh, okay, this is what's wrong. There was so many infections inside my gut that I was like, oh, even one of those would be horrific on your stomach, but to have four of them, I was like, "Oh, okay." And then to realize that my cortisol just doesn't even it's not even there. It's gone. I was like, "Oh, that makes more sense." I wasn't sleeping at night without sleeping pills. I couldn't make it through the day without 600 milligrams of caffeine. And even then, I couldn't keep my eyes open. I was falling asleep while driving, which is terrifying because I have kids. I never did fall asleep, just for the record, but I felt like driving was hard because I was tired, and going to the gym, all my workouts were sluggish. And then all of a sudden I'm reading this and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is why. This makes sense to me. I'm not crazy. The doctors now are crazy to me. Like there's actually a real reason. And for the first time in 10 years, someone's not saying, oh, it's just you're hitting your genetic wall. What does that even mean? Like, okay, cool. And they're not saying, "Oh, you just need to exercise more." No, when they told me I had to exercise less, I was like, "This feels counterintuitive, but okay. Guess we'll try that out." Uh, but the results of that were just incredible. When I stopped working out, because I had to take a long time off,
Mhm.
I started going to the bathroom, not consistently, but by myself for the first time in 10 years. And I was like, "Oh my gosh, there's like actual validation to this whole science of it." My body was under so much pressure. I was putting so much stress and pressure on it to be thin, to be fit, to be in shape, to do all of that, that I wasn't taking time to breathe and relax. It was just go, 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 go all the time. And apparently, who knew? That's really bad for your body.
Yeah, surprise, surprise. Being a mom, doing lots of things, being accomplished in so many areas, being competitive, an athlete, all these amazing, impressive, incredible things. Your body was calling out to you saying, hey, we got to slow down. We got to focus on our health here for a season, for a period of time.
Hmm.
And so I know that was also challenging for you initially when we talked through, okay, feeling good because you're feeling validated that yes, there is an explanation for why you're feeling. But now here's the catch. We got to do some things that are going to be hard and challenging and feel counterintuitive and different. We got to swap this push harder mindset for this, hey, we got to heal. We got to heal smarter type of mindset. We got to slow down. So what
Yeah.
has that looked like for you? We can maybe talk through a little bit of what the process has been like for you. I know you've even said as well in the beginning there was a little bit of like the, oh, I gotta trust the process here. This doesn't feel like we're progressing. Walk us through
Mhm.
that a little bit.
Absolutely. I would say going from someone who is a competitive athlete, and I've known that for the last 8 years, to somebody who is not even like allowed to walk into the gym, that was like that was crazy for me because that feels so counterintuitive to everything that we're taught, right? No, you need to be in the gym. You need to work harder. You're not seeing results. Work harder, work harder, work harder. And so to have someone be like, "No, don't go to the gym." I was like, so do I just die here or like what is our plan?" And they're like, "No, you should journal." Okay. That'll totally take the aggression out of me. Perfect. Um, and so I did. And they started out as little journal entries because journaling is so not my thing. Um, but the more that I do it, the more I feel like, oh, okay, I can actually get my feelings out this way. And even though it's difficult to not be in the gym, um, I still felt good. And then I started seeing little results in my body. I wasn't inflamed every day. I hadn't started the flush yet, so I was still not eating perfect, but my body was not hurting as much, which was honestly, it felt really good. Um, but it was hard to take intentional walk to go walking outside instead of going to the gym. I was like, "Okay, but this is gym time. Like, should I be walking or should I be in the gym?" And so that was really difficult. And when I started the flush, I wasn't even allowed in the gym. I was allowed to walk. And I was like, "Oh my gosh, you guys, you don't understand. Walking and like being alone with my thoughts, that's like, no, I like to be in the gym, my headphones in, blasting music so I can't even hear myself think and just be like a machine." And so to be like walking outside and not, I'm like, okay, this is super weird. Um, but I noticed a difference. Like I noticed my body feeling better and more at peace with itself than it has in years. And mentally, I struggled with it, but physically, I could feel it. So it's just trying to get the mental and physical to align, which has been difficult for me my whole life.
And you have been such an incredible client through that. I mean, so you've been working with one-on-one with Coach Krista, and she has absolutely
Mhm.
raved about you because was very normal and very expected that for a lot of us, I have been in this place myself through my own journeys where in the beginning, when we're asked to maybe slow down and we're in this place where we're like, but you don't get it. I feel uncomfortable in my body. I don't feel good. I feel sick all the time. Like, I probably need to do more here to fix this. Like, what else do I need to do? And it's like, hey, instead, let's actually do less. Let's slow down. Let's do the things that feel hard.
Sorry.
You're okay. Let's do the things that feel hard because it's something we haven't done of, like you said, sitting with your thoughts, doing mindset work like journaling, really focusing on the foundations when, even clients like you who come in who are experienced with macro tracking and have really great foundations of exercise, there are still foundational things we need to work on. You named one towards the beginning of this episode, water intake. That's one that, commonly can come up for people of like, oh, shoot, realizing maybe I'm actually not drinking enough water here. Or maybe there's some little areas that I need to make some small improvements in. Yet working on these foundations, like we call this that foundational phase where we're really getting a really strong foundation that you build the house upon, right? That is not the fun, sexy, exciting period of time. And it takes patience and it
No.
takes trust. And it truly takes that willingness to say, okay, even if this doesn't feel like the exciting thing I want to be doing right now, I'm going to put my trust into the process and acknowledge that this is building the steps for the outcomes that I want to come later. So now you're more so in what we can say later of you had a great job working through foundations. You went through a 4-week flush, like you had a pretty intense flush protocol that you went through. You're working through a gut protocol now, and you have just been kind of chipping away week after week, not trying to be perfect, but truly giving yourself the grace of just continuing to show up. Even when life throws curveballs, no matter what's going on, keep showing up for yourself. Talk to us about that journey a little bit here. What has that been like of maybe the ups and downs, how you've continued to show up for yourself? How has maybe Coach Krista been able to help you through this process? Talk share a little bit for maybe some of those who are maybe a step behind you in the process or maybe haven't started
Mhm.
yet and they're thinking like, "Oh, I don't know if I can do this."
Oh, totally fair. To be honest, I didn't know if I could do it. The poor Krista, that poor woman. I am definitely I'm very vocal about my feelings. And there's definitely times I've been like, okay, so we're moving so slow that I can't, my brain is like, are we doing anything at all? But we were. That's the one thing I'd like to say. You are doing things, even though they feel really small. They're little things that without them now, I shared this on the client call yesterday. Um, we had a family crisis happen, and normally my go-to is to binge because food is comfort, makes me happy. It's so easy. And I didn't. I actually didn't even really have the desire to, which
Amazing.
was a big deal. But I know that if I hadn't have done those little foundational steps, then I wouldn't have those, those practices in place for me to feel like I don't need to do that. Um, but yeah, there was definitely times that I was, you know, messaging Krista and I'm like, "Hey, I feel like we're doing nothing." Like, what are and she every time she's so nice, she's like, "No, we are." And she's explaining things to me and I'm like, "Okay." It's just it's so different than what I'm used to, right? Like it's a very different approach to this whole health thing, but it's like it's the right approach
Yeah.
because anybody can just be in the gym, anybody can, get fit and eat well, but that's not what our bodies actually need. And especially as women. I've read it. Men can train 7 days a week, 6 hours. Their bodies are fine. Nothing affects them. If we work out and do the same things as men, our bodies are like, "Hey, so we're not men, we can't do that." Um, but that's what I've been trying to do for years until I finally realized there's so much more. I'm so much more of a complex person,
Mhm.
and I need more than just the gym and exercising. I need the breath work. I need the journaling. I need to go on walks. I need to sit with my thoughts and actually figure them out instead of masking them with food, which is really, really difficult.
Yeah.
But it it gets easier. The more you do it, the more it becomes a practice and the more you're honest with your own feelings. I think that's the biggest thing. There were days I was struggling and I'd be telling my husband and he'd say, "Well, have you told Kristen?" I'm like, "Well, no." It's like, "Well, you should tell her." I'm like, "Well, I don't want to bug her." He's like, "That's why we're doing this." I'm like, "Okay, fine." And then every time I did, I felt so much better. But you have to be open about your feelings.
And I'm so glad that your husband would give you the nudge in those moments because
Yeah.
I know that's a common thought as well. And I think what you named there is even like the struggle for so many of us as women is it's like, well, I don't want to bother other people. I don't want to
Hmm.
inconvenience other people. It's like we just want to make ourselves small in those ways of just like, well, I want to help everybody else. Let me go take care of my kids, take care of my family, take care of everybody
Yeah.
else. But like, oh, I can't ask for help. Like, I don't want to bother that person. Right. And that's where
Yes.
we we repeat that pattern for days and weeks and years and decades.
Yeah.
And then we wonder why our bodies are so dysfunctional. And so when you start to unravel that, almost like this like a knot in a shoelace, it's not something where now let's okay, well, like let's just we identify the knot, let's just grab both ends and pull it and see if we can undo the knot. We're just going to make it tighter, right? We have to carefully instead find um, each little piece of the string and carefully pull it apart to undo that knot, right? And that's a lot of what we're
Yeah.
doing is like there's like this just really deeply raveled knot in your body that has been raveled there for years and is getting tighter and tighter and trying to take the approach of maybe pulling one end is the exercise more, pulling the other end is eat less, and just like everything that goes along with that, I just push harder, try harder, and we're just making that knot
Hmm.
tighter and tighter. So now you're undoing that and you're reaching out, asking for help. You are working through thoughts and emotions. You are showing up to the client group coaching call last night and sharing with other clients what you're working on and really connecting and forming that community. You are doing all of the things. And that's why, Annie, I truly think it's not a surprise to me why you're seeing so many wonderful changes already, despite the all that has been going on in your body and everything you came to us with. You're already seeing improvements, and that's an incredible and wonderful thing. How does that feel for you?
Oh, it feels amazing. I just, when you're saying that, I'm thinking about all the amazing things that I have seen. Like, yes, my weight is still somewhere that I'm not overly excited about. We're not to that point yet, but my body's not bloated,
Mhm.
so it's not the weight. And then I'm just like puffy everywhere. My clothes fit. I feel better. I sleep without sleeping pills, which I have not done probably since my daughter who's 9 was born. Like every night I needed that, and now I'm actually falling asleep. And that's a huge deal for me. I go to the bathroom. We've had to switch up some things, but I go to the bathroom regularly, which again, for probably 10 years has not happened. Um, and my body just feels more at peace. One thing I found really interesting is once I realized what was actually going on with my adrenals and with everything else, I can feel when I'm in the gym when I'm pushing too hard,
Mhm.
because I can feel my nervous system in my body being like, "Hey, hey, so we can feel that you need to slow down." And I actually listen. I didn't listen before. I was like, "Yeah, I know we're pushing. Let's go. Like it's fun. It's like it feels good. Let's go." And now I'm like, "Okay, so that's maybe too much. I need to dial it back and bring it back down." And that's also been difficult, but really good. Like actually listening to my body and taking the time to care about what it's saying. Because I
Yeah.
don't think I was doing that before. I think I was just like, that's nice. I want certain things that I'm going to make you do. And my body was like, that's cute. We're going to completely shut down and ruin your life. And I was like, cool, thanks. That's fun.
Yeah, and just think about the fact that you didn't give up on yourself. You've continued to show up and continued to, look until you found answers, coming to Vital Spark and continuing to see progress and improvements and already seeing these changes. Just think as time continues to pass from here, the difference in how uh, realistically you think about so many other moms out there, moms in
Mhm.
their, mid 30s going into late 30s, where it's like there's such a divide in our culture, sadly, of women who say, well, I think maybe just this is the way I am now. This is, my best years are behind me. This is like just the way my energy is. I'm just going to rely on 600 milligrams of caffeine every day forever. And if I'm just going to feel
Yeah.
sick and terrible all the time, that's just, I guess, the way I am. And I just need to push through. And, well, I can't take care of myself. I need to take care of my kids. Me taking care of myself isn't taking care of my kids. Like, what do you mean? These are the thoughts that go through the heads
Hmm.
of so many women, and why more years continue and they find themselves further down the road of feeling worse and worse. And Annie, you're not going to be in that place because you took a different
Yeah.
path, and I'm so proud of you for that. But I want those women who maybe resonate with that, maybe resonate with where you used to be, to be able to hear it from you a little bit. So for the woman maybe who's listening who says, Annie, like I relate to you. Like right now, I feel inflamed. I feel puffy. I feel exhausted. I feel dismissed by doctors. My gut does not feel
Hmm.
right. My hormones do not feel right. Like something is off here. I don't know what to do about it. I just don't know if I what I even should do at this point. Like, what do you want her to take away from this episode? What do you want her to know or to learn or to do?
I think that I would want a woman like that, someone who was like me, to know that it is possible to feel better, and that you have to have some faith in yourself, and you have to do your own research as well. You can't Doctors are not going to do it, and I hate to say that. They just don't have that same knowledge because they're looking to fix one ailment when this is not just one. What's going on with our bodies, it's not just one little itty bitty thing and then here's a pill and it's fixed. If that was the case, we would all be on that pill and none of us would have this issue, right? But there's so much more going on inside our bodies, but as moms, we don't have to feel like we are dying every day to keep up with our kids. Yeah, don't get me wrong. If you're in the throes of newborns or toddlers and they're not sleeping through the night, different things, honey, you're going to be tired and there is nothing anybody can do to fix that. That's being a mom. But as they get older and as you have those, you sleep through the nights and things like that, you should be able to feel like you have some energy to take care of your kids. I'm not saying it's not exhausting. It is. But I've noticed that through changing all of these and doing the work, I have more energy. I am nicer to my kids. I'm not going to lie. I was not that I was mean, just I had very little patience because I was so tired that I literally could not keep up with them. And now I do feel like I can keep up with them. I can answer the 5,000 questions a day. I can play with them. I want to be around them. I'm not like, oh my gosh, is it bedtime yet? Some days I am, but most of the time I'm not. Like I feel so much better. And I knew I knew that it wasn't normal to feel this way at our age. 30s is not old. Even 40s, we are not old. Into your 50s, like we're not old enough to be feeling like we are dying. And I mean that in every sense of the word. Getting out of bed is hard. If I don't wake up without my caffeine, I mean, look out world. Like we're gonna and now as of yesterday, I'm 9 weeks without caffeine and like I'm upright. Look at me. Look at me go. I'm going to the gym without caffeine. I am momming all day long. Like I feel really good. And I feel like it's important that people understand you do not have to feel like crap just because you are a mom. And yes, having kids probably messes up all of our hormones. It's because you have somebody else's hormones in there. Like, and it's just hard. But I don't feel like I'm dying as a mom. And I feel like it's because this program has made it possible for me to actually get back to what I love and feel like I'm doing well and not just, floating along in my life.
Man, so, so powerful. I mean, Annie, thank you. Thank you so much just for being willing to share your story, for being so open, for being vulnerable. I know this is going to help so many women just getting to hear that they're not alone. And I know I talk about my
Mhm.
story a lot, but they need to hear it from more women that you are not alone out there. Like the things that you are struggling with, you might feel alone if maybe there's nobody in your life you can relate to on this, but you are not alone and it's possible to feel
Mhm.
better. You absolutely can. So I'm so proud of you for everything you've already achieved so far, the work you've put in and what you're already seeing. I mean, this is just the beginning for you. You are only 4 months into this journey and you have
Mhm.
so many wonderful things ahead as we really get to the bottom of these gut issues, these hormone issues, and get you where you want to be. So thank you again for sharing everything. I'm sure there's gonna be probably some women out there who, want to maybe connect with you, maybe to ask you questions, or just because
Mhm.
they think you're funny and they probably want to follow you. Where can they find you?
Yeah, I am on Instagram and TikTok. My handle is at Oh Annie Ruth. And anyone can reach out to me anytime. My DMs are always open. I do my best to respond to people and I love connecting, especially about stuff like this. I don't think anybody should feel alone. And I know I felt that way. There was no one else in my life who's gone through something like this or found a program like this. And so until I did find you guys, I felt very crazy and very alone. And so yeah, anybody can reach out to me anytime. I'm happy to answer questions and be a part of it.
Awesome. All
Yeah.
right. Well, everybody, thank you so much for listening. We'll be back next week with another great episode.